Hey guys, welcome back to the Pennies to Pounds podcast with your host Kia. And this is the podcast where we aim to dispel your myths, simplify difficult financial jargon, and rectify your own personal problems. We are back again with another episode, and I know I've been gone for a while, but with good reason. With very good reason. For some of you who may follow us on social media, you will know that I have just finished recording a show with Channel 4, which has been amazing, but it has literally taken up all my time since April, I think we've been recording. And I've been to like Birmingham, Cardiff, Glasgow. I've been all over the place, and that has meant that my schedule has not been steady, so it's been hard for me to record. Alas, we are done. You can stream all the episodes, not all the episodes, 3 episodes at present are live on YouTube to watch. It's been a great fun, so hopefully you enjoy the episodes. But we are back with the podcast, and we are back with another amazing guest. So backstory on this guest though, we tried to record last year, I believe. My guest and I tried to record, and things just didn't go to plan. So many things just didn't go to plan. But I believe that things happen for a reason, and we are back again with, it's going to be an amazing episode. But let me not even introduce this guest. Let me let them introduce themselves because their accolades speak for themselves. But guess who are you?
Hi, thank you. So, hey, Kia. Yeah, my name is Samuel Okusaga. And yeah, I'm a TEDx speaker, entrepreneur, and currently working in EdTech as a senior content executive.
You are killing it right now. You're doing, and sorry, can you tell us a bit more about your business? Don't you say I'm an entrepreneur? Can you just tell us?
Of course, yeah. So my business called Word of Mouth. It's been about for a while.
It has.
Yeah, like since pre-TikTok times.
I know.
That's the thing, like, you know, pre-TikTok.
Pre-TikTok. So like, this is given like BC and AD. Yeah, okay, cool. Pre-TikTok times.
Post-TikTok, BT, pre-TikTok. It's actually a thing. I'm being sorrow.
Okay, cool. I'm going to start using that
now. So essentially Word of Mouth is it's a community platform and insight agency where we share positive stories about diverse young people, and we help companies understand and recruit young people from diverse backgrounds. And it's all about essentially building that connection between, you know, corporate companies and helping them access those communities that they say they can't access. And it's like, yeah, we know why you can't. We can come in and fix that for you and make sure you find the right people to get in those roles.
That is amazing. You've done some incredible work. I know one of your big things is, do you know what? I'm going to let you tell it. I was going to mention Tesco, but I did see that you, I think it was a couple of months ago now, you had, it was all probably for men and black men, right? Yeah. So talk us more about what happened there.
So some people may not know, I'm currently, I've been working with Tesco for quite a while actually, but I'm currently mentored by the CEO of Tesco UK.
Amazing.
And that again was work to do with helping to create authentic diversity in organizations. And we've done a lot of work with Tesco, from working with their senior leaders to actually helping to bring more diverse young people into their corporate side. Because I think a lot of companies are seeing that they can get diversity at entry level roles, or roles that are maybe like aren't as heavily skilled, but sometimes they find it hard to attract them on the other side of stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of brought him and to a group that I'm part of called Men of Purpose, and it was basically like 50 young black men being able to learn directly from a CEO, you know, and in a vulnerable and honest way, and it was super powerful, man. I think one of my greatest achievements, because I always believe in sharing, you know, pulling that ladder down for those for other people, especially, you know, things that you wish you had when you was kind of on the come up as well. Yeah,
it looks amazing. I remember I was watching the snaps, and I think at one point I was like, why didn't I get invited? This looks so sick. And it clicked. I said, right, yeah, this is not for me. It's not for me, but that's okay because it looked so incredible, and I think it's an amazing achievement. So yeah, you should be proud of yourself, and I'm sure you are. But we're gonna go into the main bulk of this episode. But before we do, I haven't done it in a while because I haven't done a podcast episode in a while. But I'm gonna bring it back. We're gonna play a game. I'm gonna play a game with this or that.
This or that. Okay.
So as it sounds, I'm gonna give you 2 options. You say this or that. Which one would you pick?
Okay. Quick fire.
Well, it doesn't have to be quick. You can take your time and think about it. But when I give you the options, pick your option and tell me why you picked them. Cool. First one, GCSEs or A-levels?
GCSEs.
Why GCSEs?
Because I smashed my GCSEs and I scraped my A-levels.
I feel like, you know, they say like the jump from GCSEs to A-level, is it Yeah, it is mad. It is very
So
much.
basically, my GCSEs, I got like, this is one of still my proudest achievements.
Yeah.
I got basically all A stars and A's.
Oh, amazing.
But I got a B in French, and I would
Okay.
say that's a B in French language, doesn't matter. But then when I did my first mock in A level, because
Yeah.
I did like A level maths, economics,
You went hard.
chemistry, physics. That's
just maths based.
man thought I was gonna be this scientist.
Next.
Listen, man's
Albert
gonna be
Einstein.
Albert Einstein. Listen, the first mock I got a U. I said yeah.
Yeah, done. You said yeah.
I said yeah. It's time for a relook about my options here because
Yeah.
man went from A star maths to first mock getting a U or E. Listen, I was like, yeah, you know what? Calm. A levels is a serious things. People told you it's serious, but
But
until
you
you
don't
experience
realize
it,
until you get humbled by those grades. And you're
super
like,
humbled.
wow, yeah.
So yeah, GCSEs all the way.
Cool. All right. Next one. Would you rather, so this or that, 2-year unpaid apprenticeship? Yeah.
Okay.
I can see the cogs turning in your brain, or a fully funded university degree.
A fully funded university degree.
Okay.
Nah,
Considering you
okay.
didn't
Okay.
an apprenticeship.
I know. But you said unpaid. That's
I know. You're thinking no money.
Bro, unpaid.
I know,
But
that's
depends where though. These are some questions you have to ask with context. I would say an apprenticeship if it's at a company that's worth
Worth the
worth
suffering,
the
the unpaid.
yeah.
Okay, last one. I asked every single guest, would you rather £50,000 in cash or dinner with Jay-Z?
50k.
What? No one to this point has picked Jay-Z. Why? Poor Jay-Z. Sorry, Jay. I'm sorry.
Because Jay-Z would tell me you should have took the £50, man.
Yeah, no, he would have said
Over.
that. He actually would have said that. Well, thank you for playing that with me. I think that's really fun. Now let's get into the meat of this episode. So I like to take it back with all the guests and find out about their childhood, because I find that you can see a lot of the traits as to how they are today. Right? Because we tend to develop those habits from young, and they tend to show themselves as we get older. So talk to us about your childhood. I know you've been quite open and transparent in your TEDx talk, which is, again, an amazing watch if you haven't watched it. But talk us through your childhood.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, 23, born to Nigerian parents. Born in Nigeria, actually, but grew up in the UK since like 2 years old. So I would definitely say my Nigerian heritage has definitely come from my parents. And grew up in Southeast London before it was gentrified, in the ends. Like when the ends was the ends. Got 2 siblings, oldest. So I think from young, I've had that mentality of responsibility because if people don't have African parents, when you're the firstborn, pressure is serious for you to do well. Went to a secondary school that was like relatively like local. But I'll say once GCSE was done, I think that's where my trend of taking alternative paths and not having going down the usual path probably started to happen. So after sixth form, I actually got into a selective grammar school, which was kind of an experiment, which was essentially trying to provide young people who were kind of intelligent but from working class backgrounds with the similar education as private school kids. So they partnered with a private school, and it meant that we shared some resources where we studied was near them, and we had to go to school 6 days a week because they were boarding school. So during A levels, I was going Monday to Saturday. That's my TEDx talk, and I think that those kind of things have taught me to where I am today, and then. After that, that's again where things started to go a bit different. So when I was 17, I actually became a father. So I've got a little one, and again that kind of changed my trajectory for things because, my vision from at that point was university, but at the same time I was building my business. So I was thinking, uni, business, do the Mark Zuckerberg thing, drop out second year. Millionaire by 28, whatever, 23, whatever. you know how the story. I already saw the story was already written, innit? Documentary was. I already knew I was going to start a documentary too.
Oh wow, you really planned out all
title,
of that.
the book, everything set. Like I was so focused, and then that kind of happened, and I thought, cool, this is a different path I'm going down. So then I actually took a alternative route post, 16 post A levels, and I've done a degree apprenticeship, which it wasn't really heard of back then. I think it's more popular now. Especially because university degrees are that serious, and I think more young people are seeing that university alone isn't enough to get a good job at sometimes, and then from there, that's kind of like my story goes, and then I've kind of like been building the business still, and I've moved on from where I am now. But yeah, that's quick whistle stop.
You have done a lot in that time. I'm especially surprised about your sixth form experience. I thought mine was bad. Okay, not bad, but I thought mine was intense. I think that's a better word.
Yeah.
Because where I went was very much so. I was in sixth form 6 a.m. I left at 6 p.m. and that was my life for 2 years.
Okay.
Hey, don't say fool. You was in 6 days a week.
Yes, yeah. I still feel like I need to look at some of the like laws. Like,
Yeah, I know,
it must have been legal because like, but it was honestly it was cool, man. Like looking right there and then, I think I kind of like felt like, what have I done to myself? But looking back in terms of looking at how I've turned some of the disadvantages into advantages, and like some of the things it's taught me, like, you know, work ethic, the where it was based at Westminster, like, you know, it says growing up in South East London, you know, unless you're going to Central, you're not really going around them sides. So every day I was going past the Big Ben, past Parliament, was having assemblies in Westminster Abbey. Like, you know, I was getting used to being around this environment of, like, you know, of prosperity, you know, of importance, and I think that allowed me to think bigger as well. So I think changing perspective always helps to see if you're smiling.
That's nice segue into what I was going to ask you next. That's how I'm smiling. Nice segue. You really just built that segue for me.
Of course.
So off the back of that, you know, you mentioned you know, disadvantages from where you grew up and those kind of things. You definitely go into it a lot more in your TEDx talk. But I want to ask you very much emphasize that you, as you mentioned just now, you developed a mindset of gratitude. There are some people who may come from disadvantaged backgrounds and may not have that mindset, right? Because sometimes it feels like if you haven't got things, how can you be appreciative of the things you have? How did you develop that mindset of gratitude?
I'll say it's because of my myself, you do have things. Like, you may not have the things that you want, but it doesn't mean you haven't got anything. You know what I mean? And I would say, like, it's also about knowing that there's levels in terms of how bad things can get. You know, I said my mum used to talk to me a lot about, like, what it was like for her growing up in Nigeria, because she was a first generation immigrant. She grew up in Nigeria, like, and she kept 100 for me. She kept 100 for me, telling me, like, how hard she worked, you know, how she grew up having holes in her shoes, having to walk to school, you know, having holes in her roof, like those kind of things. And knowing that she was still able to, you know, be motivated to change the situation. And, you know, even though I grew up in a council estate, like, obviously shared a room with my siblings, 2 siblings, that was still not as bad as what my mum came from. So I think that kind of things definitely helped me to help more gratitude. And as you're entering new spaces, you remember, I still remembered those, like, where I came from. And I guess the desire for me not to go back to the situation I came from makes you appreciate the new things. You know what I mean? And in my TED Talks, I say, like, it's kind of a thing you're forced to have, because if you don't, you kind of be miserable all the time, innit? And I think, you know, happiness can come from you changing your perspective on situations. You know, something that can be subjective to you, because some people because we know there's people who are super wealthy and aren't happy, because and there's people who may not have as much and are happy, and I feel that's because emotions, like, are irrational. Yeah. Like, you can be, when you're sad, you're generally sad. Like, you can be crying in a Bentley, but you're still still sad. But you're still sad. Yeah. And I don't think when you're sad like that, your mind doesn't think, let me appreciate what I have. Your mind just thinks, my life is shit. And, like, a lot of times those things are even normal to you anyway. So you can't use that as gratitude.
I agree with you. And I think coming from a disadvantaged background, often sometimes does paint your path for you. You know, often if you're coming from a certain area. So I grew up in East London. I grew up in what is known as the poorest borough in London.
East Ham.
Girl, that is a town. That is not a borough.
Hackney.
That is a borough, but that's not the right borough.
Sorry,
I'm not going to tell you my borough. Now you're guessing.
Let me shut up.
I'm guessing. I'm not going to tell you.
Hey, I'm just trying shots at hella people right now.
People listening thinking that raw. Yeah, raw. That's your first thought. No, but But I grew up in the Boroughs Borough.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, to some, it's kind of like your path is written for you. You know, there's only so much you can achieve. But I think, you know, as you kind of touched on, you can really just go for anything. And I think mindset definitely does play a big role. Swiftly into my next question. You have now, congratulations, gone into a new role, a senior position, which is brilliant. How was that journey there? Because obviously you were not new to this podcast. Obviously, like I said, we tried to record before, but you have been here on our National Apprenticeship Day episode, which was great. But talk us through your journey.
I said, like, when I did my degree apprenticeship, like, my mum was like, can you give me an apprenticeship? Like, she was like, what is that like? But I was like, Mum, when I get a degree, my degree's paid for by the company. I'm working there as well. So, like, I'm actually, like, it's actually such a no-brainer. Like, you're getting paid a salary, you're getting a degree paid for, and you still do it in 3 years at the same time. Just, you don't get the vibes. Like, you're basically going to work hard. You're going to enter into the working world really quickly. But what that gives you 3 years of experience. It gives you the chance to save money so you can be ahead. It gives you the chance to obviously have no debt. And essentially, you're ahead of, I generally feel like you're much ahead mentally, financially, like if you do what you're doing well. And like, yeah, I was at a company called Pearson. Pearson is like a massive education company. And I just feel like it allowed me to it allowed me to gain the experience I needed, you know, allowed me to be in spaces that will allow me to learn. Like, and the thing is, I'm a believer in environment. Like, I think your environment can dictate the luck you get. And I've learned that from actually growing up in ends and growing up in the area where, you know, crime is high. And my mummy was told me, like, you know, like, being in certain environments, you know, either positive things will come to you, negative things. You know what I mean? You might not be physically involved in, you know, crime, but if you're around people doing crime, around people, like, eventually you're going to be in a situation where you may have no choice but to do X, Y, Z. If you're going to be around people who are doing positive things, you know what I mean? You may not know what to do or what to get in, but eventually there's going to be opportunity that arise and you just be in the right place, right time. Yeah, so me being in that situation, it gave me a massive mentor so I was being mentored by the CEO of that company, of a FTSE 100 company at 18 years old, like, you know, learning directly from him. You know what I mean? Someone who is, someone who I think, you know, many people wouldn't ever had a chance to have physically met. Like, well, how would I have met someone who's a CEO if I wasn't working in the company? You know, it allowed me to do my TEDx talk, it allowed me to do a lot of other things. And I think all of those things, experiences, and as well as the transferable skills I took from just my life and applied, I think it made me, I guess, more motivated to go, and more bold to just have audacity and go for things that might not feel I'm qualified for. And I think it also allowed me to, you know, have the charm, have the mindset of, like, I can be resourceful, I can get things done. You know, I'm also driven, and I think that's what allowed me to stand out and get the role I'm in now. And, you know, it feels good, and it feels good because I feel like, especially as, like, young black, like people in the workforce, I do feel like majority of people I see are, you know, who are either like seen as only entry level, like you know what I mean, like, and I never see, like, people who feel like they, you know what I mean, who are given a chance to be seen. I think that's quite rare. Yeah. Like, I saw a stat yesterday, the other day, only 10 out of 297 top CEOs in the UK are from an ethnic minority. I'm pretty sure those that are actually black probably be one or two.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, there is a lack of representation. There is a lack of there may be a lack of belief. You know what I mean?
That you can reach certain places.
Yeah, and I think I personally, I've given myself the duty that I want to change that, man. I want to be a senior executive, you know, in a massive company, or my company, or another company.
You have been talking throughout, it's been a common theme, you know, using your disadvantage as an advantage. So for anyone who's listening, who said, you know what, I can resonate with your story, Sam. Yeah. But are in, you know, have come from a certain place and feel like, oh, it's not going to benefit me. You know, sometimes I know before I got into this and I was actually applying for roles, I kind of felt like, oh, my postcode. You're going to see where I'm
Yeah,
from.
yeah, yeah, 100.
Or, oh, I went to like a state school. I don't know how I'm going to be judged. Or, all these different things. How would you say that someone, or like a couple of tips that you'd give to someone to see it as an advantage and not something that's going to hinder them?
Okay, of course. So cool. I'll say like tip one's all about understanding like experience can come from unconventional ways, and it's not about what you, especially like interviews and CV. It's not about what you say. It's kind of about how you say it. And I think that ability of to see to say this is what it is, but this is how you can see it and give a counterpoint, see it another way. I think it's a skill that companies want anyway. So I would say like maybe list down a list of things that you're proud of, like in school, out of school, work, out of work. Just list down things you've maybe since you was like 11 years old that you can generally remember and say you're proud of that you've done or can do. E.g., did you look after your siblings growing up? E.g., did you have to take care of your parents? Did you have to contribute to some bills when growing up? Like, did you have to sell sweets in school like me because you wanted to be able to? So you wanted to, so you can afford to get a haircut, so your dad didn't have to cut your hair every day, and then you come to school with a mad trim. Like list those things down, and then like think about all of like key attributes that you think make you employable, and you can find this in like on Google. Just Google like employability skills for the next 10 years, because that's what companies look for. And a lot of it you will see is actually a lot of like interpersonal skills, soft skills, and then just try to create a story that maps what that achievement you've done to this skill that companies want to see, and see if you can create a story between that. And then that's the perfect way to turn that disadvantage into advantage and say, you know what, this is my situation. I might not have top internship from this company. I may not have had, I may not have, been able to volunteer at XYZ or work for this summer internship at this big full company. But here's what I have done, and here's what it's taught me. E.g., maybe you started your own lash business, or I think what embodies like the Generation Z is like side hustles and doing your own thing and trying to be entrepreneurial. Like, yeah, I think all those things give you skills that that you can bring to life and talk about.
I think that's really powerful. Even you just saying, because you wouldn't usually think that, right? You wouldn't think maybe like to looking after your siblings is something that you can bring to an interview and say, I've done this and this translate into this skill, but it does. So, Sam, I'm gonna give you one last gem that you're gonna leave everyone with. What will be the one thing? Yeah, make it a good one. Make it a good one. This is what you're gonna end on. Christ. What's the one thing that you say that everyone who's listening should take away from this episode from you?
Cool. I would say like something I've been telling myself recently is be impatient with action, but be patient with results. And I say that because I think our generation has grown up with things being very instant and quick. The internet has allowed us to access information at a tip of a finger. Mm-hmm. We can watch videos. We can be entertained forever if we wanted to be on our devices. And I think it's made us kind of impatient sometimes, because like I catch myself sometimes when something's buffering for 3 seconds, I'm getting pissed off, like why is this buffering, like because we're so used to getting things instantly. And I think that can be translated into how we sometimes see life, and sometimes translate how we see our goals, how we see our way we approach situations. And I think as a result, that can lead to like anxiety, because we feel like we're not meant to be when we're supposed to be, because we see other people maybe doing better, quote unquote, better than us. And the reason why I say be impatient with actions, because I think that is kind of like some of like the antidote for that feeling. To be like, like if you for example, when you've done an exam and you've done your absolute best, whatever the result is, like you won't really feel away, because listen, I've done the best I can do. If I get if I get a D, cool, but I know I did my best. So I think if you have a goal and you're impatient, like getting to work, getting started, but you're saying, what, I'm gonna be consistent. I'm gonna go to the gym every day. I'm gonna read this every day. I'm gonna watch this every day to help me feel better. But I know the results will be like gradual. Then yeah. And it won't be overnight. Then I think mentally you'll be more patient, but you still actually get towards that goal you want.
I love that. I think, like you said, we're so impatient with stuff, but it is very good. Like what you said there, just being patient. Things will happen in their right time.
Yeah.
And it helps ease the anxiety that we quite often do have. So thank you for leaving us with that. Before we wrap up, can you tell everyone listening and watching where they can find you and follow Word of Mouth? Tell them everything.
So yeah, guys, my name is Samuel Okusaga. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me, it's my full name. Probably be somewhere. Hopefully,
it will be. Don't worry.
You can find me on Instagram at CEO Sam, and you can check out Word of Mouth if you want to see, daily positive content to inspire you to reach your personal or career goals. We share career opportunities as well. Follow us at Word of Mouth on all social platforms and our website. So yeah, follow us up.
Amazing. As always, it will be in the description, whether you're listening or watching, so you can click through it and make it a lot easier. Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Everyone listening and watching, thank you so much for being here. We'll be back again next week. Yes, I said next week. We're back to weekly. I changed to fortnightly when I was filming Channel 4 and then I stopped filming. But we're back to weekly. See you again next week. Bye, everyone.